Welcome back, everybody. We've got the game prediction right here. Could not ask for more higher stakes in this game. Saturday, 12 p.m., exactly what you want in this edition of the rivalry. So let's just hop right into it. Just to start off, is this a bigger game for Ohio State and Ryan Day, or is it a bigger game for Michigan and Sherrone Moore?
I think this is a bigger game for Ohio State and Ryan Day. They haven't won this game in 4 years, and they're undefeated this season. This is the year they're going to get it done if they get it done under Ryan Day.
Yeah, I think like what Alexander said, I think a lot of OSU fans have a lot of pressure on this game and have a lot of pressure been circled on this game since last year. And I think, obviously Michigan has pressure to win this game to get into the playoffs, but, at the end of the day, I think Michigan fans won't be rioting if they lose, whereas I honestly think Ohio State would have some big problems among the fan base if they would lose this game.
I think it's in the game alone, Ryan Day has more pressure and Ohio State has more pressure, and it's a bigger game for them. But as a season, this game means a lot more to Michigan and Sherrone Moore than it does to Ohio State. Yeah, if Ohio State loses this game, they don't go to Indy and they don't win Golden Pants, but they're still playing in late or in December, and they'll be in the college football playoffs. And Michigan might have a chance, and we'll get to that later, but they need this to even have a chance to get in the college football playoffs. So it's kind of 50-50, depending on how you look at it, one side will have more pressure than the other. But no matter the fact, it's a big game for both sides. We've got some injuries on both sides in this game. For Ohio State, the big ones are Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. Jeremiah Smith went on the Downs to Business podcast and said that he's feeling good, but he's dealing with a little situation injury-wise, but he should be good to go. And then we haven't heard much about Carnell Tate. He's been out since the Purdue game, which was 3 weeks ago. So Ryan Day has continuously said they're day-to-day, but nothing of much yet. Jeremiah Smith has a lower body injury. We're not exactly sure what. And then Carnell Tate is the same thing, lower body injury, but we're almost positive it's a calf issue. And then for Michigan, there's a few more injuries. Big one, Justice Haynes, most likely not going to play. He was deemed out, most likely out for the season last week before Maryland. Their other running back, Jalen Marshall. Jalen Marshall, he will be in for this game. He was sat out for Maryland just for good measures to make sure he was ready to go. Rod Moore will be out, their star safety. He's dealing with an ACL injury that he had last year. He came back this year, but has pretty much aggravated it again. And then Mac Bredesen, their linebacker, I believe, is dealing with a lower body injury. Sherrone Moore said the x-rays didn't look great, but he's still hopeful that he's going to play. So injuries are plaguing both teams here, as most teams have to deal with right now, being late November, last game of the season. What are you guys looking forward to in this game?
I'm most excited to see how Ohio State handles if they don't have both their wide receivers. I'm guessing one of them will be on limited reps, even if they both play. So we'll see how Brandon Ennis and the other freshmen step up into the role to fill the big shoes of Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah, I think that's a key point for this game for the OSU team. But even if they do play, I think this Ohio State team is going to make it a point to give it to their tight ends. They made a heavy emphasis in the offseason to grab 2 tight end transfers, and they haven't really used them all too much throughout the season yet. And I really think they've saved a lot for this game, and I think it might be a completely new Ohio State team. Play-wise, I think you're going to see a lot of plays that you haven't seen yet, a lot of formations you haven't seen yet, and I think in this game you're going to find a player that's going to become a bit of a legend that hasn't been all year.
You're on the legend aspect. If Julian Sain goes in and wins against this Michigan team and puts up just a solid stat line, I don't know why you wouldn't put him as the front runner for the Heisman after this week.
Yeah, there's usually somebody in this game that steps up for either side and becomes legends, and that's what's so great about this game. Back to the tight end aspect, Max Clare at his best game of the season against Rutgers last week with both Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith out. He had 7 receptions, 1 touchdown, and 105 yards. And likewise, Bo Jackson had a great game too, 110 yards on 19 carries and 2 touchdowns. That game to me seemed like it was Ryan Day and the Buckeyes preparing for the worst for Michigan, and in the event that both their star wide receivers don't play. And they're able to get out of there with a 42-9 win. Granted, it's Rutgers, but they do have a pretty good run defense, and so the ability, or Ohio State to have the ability to run like they did in that game shows some growth. But I want to make sure that Ryan Day and this Ohio State offense doesn't rely too heavily on the run game. I get it if Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate are out for this game, obviously the run game needs to get going. But with that being said, if Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith are in, I would love to see him keep up how him and Brian Hartline have been calling plays since this game last year. They've been the most electric offense in all of the country, and if they keep that up, there's no way they don't get out of here with the win, and this team's going to get some golden pants and head to Indy.
I think something interesting to see on the Michigan side of the ball is how Bryce Underwood's going to react. I mean, both these quarterbacks are in their first game of their career with Julian Saint and Bryce Underwood, but this Michigan offense is not a pass offense. Their leading wide receiver only has 650 yards on the year, and the team has a total of 2,000 on the year compared to 2,500 rushing for the team. So for the Buckeye defense, they really need to figure out how to make this quarterback throw the ball, kind of not fully sell out on the run, but make it so that early on in the game they're controlling the line of scrimmages. And obviously, I don't think Ohio State needs to run the ball more than Michigan does. But on defense, you don't want to see Michigan picking up 4 or 5 yards a carry, or else it could get out of hand.
The way to get Michigan to pass the ball is to get them to 3rd and long. So if you can be aggressive as the Ohio State defense in the first and 2nd downs, and then force that third and 5 or more, there's a lot of situations that Bryce is going to be under some high pressure and obvious pass situations, which is what Michigan wants to try and get out of. So if you're Michigan, on the other hand, it's how do you get into third and short, and how do you stay ahead of the chains in this game? And it's really going to be interesting to see. It's going to be a masterclass of play calling on both sides for both teams.
Yep.
Yeah, I was back on the Rutgers game. Rutgers had a very good run offense, and Ohio State handled it really well last week, which kind of gives you hope for this Michigan game and how they can handle Michigan's run offense. That's always been their stronghold, and that's what it is this year. And then also on the Ohio State side, we've seen this in the last couple of games. Lincoln Keenholz has been coming in at the end and kind of been, and not even at the end. Against Rutgers, he was playing in the second quarter on a couple snaps, just coming in for the dual threat aspect. So it'll be interesting to see how Ryan Day and Brian Hartline use him this week. And also, I think you're going to start to see not only Lincoln use his legs more, I think Julian will also start to use his legs more, just so, because he hasn't all season. They're not preparing for it, but at the same time, I think Ryan Day in the past couple games has put Lincoln in, so you have to prepare for him just so they stay on their toes.
So let's move into college football hopes. I kind of mentioned it. Do you guys think Michigan, with the win on Saturday, solidifies their spot in this second edition of the 12-team playoff?
100%, because if they win this game, they become 11-1, correct?
10-2.
10-2, and they would go to Indy. They'd beat the number 1 team, who's been dominant all year. I think as long as they put up a decent fight against Indiana, they make the college football playoff. Because you're not going to get punished for losing. The committee won't punish you for losing in the conference championship.
But will they?
They won't. They haven't.
I think if you're Michigan, your best case scenario is, I don't know if it is possible. I haven't looked into the Big Ten championship matchups, but I think your best case scenario is to win this game and to not have to play the Big Ten championship. Just because
the only way that happens is if Indiana loses this week and Michigan wins.
Okay. Well, then I don't know if I think they need to win the Big Ten title game. I know they play in the Big Ten conference, but like the championship. But at the end of the day, like if let's say they do beat Ohio State, they'd move up to like probably 8th in the rankings if you just look at it. Okay, and then if you were to lose in the Big Ten championship game, you'd have to drop a little bit.
Yeah, but their loss would be against Oklahoma, who is probably top 10 when they played them, top 15. They would have lost. Who was their other loss? USC, which
is unranked now.
Yeah, but okay. Then they would beat Ohio State, and then if they beat Ohio State next week, Indiana would obviously be number 1.
Okay.
So they would beat the 1 ranked and lose to the 1 ranked.
I think it's up in the air. I think Michigan's status is up in the air.
USC is not unranked. Sorry, they're 17th. Okay, so here's what's going on. So if Ohio State loses to Michigan, that bumps Michigan into the third best team in the Big Ten. But that leaves Oregon as second. So as long as Oregon doesn't lose to Washington, then it'd be Oregon and Indiana in the Big Ten championship, and that would be the best situation for Michigan, because the odds of them running the tables and beating both Ohio State and Indiana back-to-back weeks are very slim. Especially, we know the injuries, and I'm not wishing this on anybody, but you're playing in a high-intense game this Saturday. Injuries are most likely going to happen.
Especially in the cold, it's going to snow. Someone's going to pull something. Someone's going to cramp. Someone's going to get injured this game.
Not to mention Indiana's coming off Purdue.
Yes.
Basically back-to-back bye weeks.
So the best situation for Michigan to get into the playoffs would be to beat Ohio State and, like Ethan said, avoid the Big Ten championship, because that's most likely going to be a loss, and the odds of them letting a three-loss team in is very slim. However, they're going to need – I think no matter what, they're going to need some help. So Vandy goes on the road to Tennessee this week. Could be a loss. Miami goes into Pittsburgh this week. Could be a loss. They're coming off a hot win against Georgia Tech. BYU plays UCF. Most likely going to stay ahead of Michigan with that win. Bama goes into the Auburn. That could be a sneaky game. New era of Auburn football.
People claiming Auburn can win that game.
Yes. Notre Dame goes to Stanford, so most likely a win. Mm-hmm. And Oklahoma hosts LSU, which should be a pretty easy win, but who knows? So I think Michigan has the ability to get in. It's just they're going to need to win this one and get a little bit of help, because personally, I don't think they're going to hop 5 spots. They pretty much have to get to the 10th best ranked team in the country with how everything's shaped out. I don't think they will hop 5 spots unless people lose ahead of them. So they're going to need some help. It's not impossible, but it's highly unlikely. So let's just end it out with some predictions and one hot take.
I think a combo of Julian Sain and Lincoln Kienholz will have a combined 5 or 6 touchdowns in this game, and Ohio State will go on and win by 30.
My bold prediction is that Bryce Underwood has the best game of the year, unfortunately. That's my bold prediction. But my game prediction is that Ohio State wins 35-27.
That's it.
I think it's going to be a really close game. I think Michigan's going to put up the most points against Ohio State anybody has, just because it's the game.
So I think my bold prediction is Ohio State wins. No, this is my bold prediction. This is my prediction. Ohio State wins 28-10. I think if Ohio State puts up 20 points to win this game, if they don't win the game because they gave up more than 20, they don't deserve to win this game. And if they can't put up 20, they don't deserve to win this game either. So I think they win 28-10, and I think Jeremiah Smith and Julian Sain connect for 100. I think Jeremiah Smith gets to 1,000 yards this season from this game, so he has to get right around 95 yards. He's going to get 2 touchdowns, and Julian Sain's going to go off for 250 and 4 total touchdowns. So that's all we have for you guys. Thanks for watching. This is going to be a fantastic game no matter which side you're on, or if you're just a fan in general. So we hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks for all your support. Have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.